You love me?
I love my mommy.
Oh, baby.
You love me?
Yes.
What are you? Whoa, chill out!
What?
What are you doing?
It's just for Snapchat, you know.
Why are you recording though?
What's the issue?
Bro, all my homies see that, you're not gonna roll with me no more.
Why not?
Taylor, bro, they don't think I roll like that, bro. Delete that.
Oh my gosh, it's not.
What are you trying to film for?
Hey you guys, I wanted to come on here and give commentary on this video that was sent to me by a subscriber, and I typically try to avoid making videos about swirling because I believe these types of relationships to be counterproductive and meaningless, but for the sake of honoring the request of the subscriber, I want to talk about it so that Black women do not internalize the strange and bizarre behaviors expressed by this sector of Black men. Now, as you guys saw in the beginning of this video, there was a Black man who was laid up with a woman from the larger society, and I have to say before I get into this, it was very cringeworthy to watch this, and I question if this is a majority of what these relationships consist of. She asked him if he loves her, and he responds by saying he loves his mommy. One thing I want to say regarding this type of context that I find it to be so peculiar is that we know the interactions and communications that take place in our community. Typically, you hear Black men tell their girlfriend, "Love you, mama," and it sounds natural. You know, it sounds like a Black man casually telling his Black girlfriend that he loves her. That's not what this conversation was at all. It sounds like a very eccentric and unconventional expression of love. We know that context in the climate of today makes a huge difference, and when he states that he loves his mommy, it sounds like for a minute to me that he's been reduced down to a child. He's seeking a maternal nurturing from a woman that in no way, shape, or form embodies any similar characteristics to him or his people, yet he loves her in a motherly way, which is what makes this video so disturbing to watch. Now, before I get into this, please make sure you guys go and check out ashkickin.com for all of your health and beauty products. They are a Black-owned business, and all of their products are organic and made from scratch, so you are definitely getting grade A quality merchandise. And if you use my code ChrisMoore1 at checkout, you will get a 15% off your purchase, so please make sure to go and check out ashkickin.com. If you guys watched the video before this one, you'll know I briefly touched on this divestment behavior that Black men engage in to avoid responsibility and escape the conditions of their community, because indulging in other races of women means they don't have to deal with the real issues taking place in their own community. Avoidance of any sort is something that's engaged in frequently, but your identity is something that's permanently tied to you. And I make mention that disassociating yourself from your community will not afford you any sort of benefits or elevation in social status. Watching this video makes several questions come to mind. Does he not value the mother that gave birth to him? Does he harbor some form of loathsome feelings towards her? And more importantly, why does he not see a Black woman in the same sense? I think one thing we also need to pay close attention to was his adverse reaction to being filmed on camera, which says to me that Black men like to flaunt these other races of women in everyone's face, but they don't like to reveal what actually takes place in them like it's some hidden taboo. And it's worth noting too that the larger society is more likely to have strange relationships with people and sometimes inanimate objects, and their attraction to me is very unnatural. Black men, for whatever reason, probably because their mentality is warped, seem to think that this attraction, however, is divine and sacred because of the way they gravitate and grovel in the presence of these women from the larger society. My purpose for creating this video is to really help Black women to understand that when these same Black men are pointing out the flaws you have, this is nothing more than a mere projection. He's saying there's something deep down I don't like about myself, even if I don't know what it is, but as opposed to engaging in some form of introspection and trying to figure out what that is, I'm going to gaslight and project onto you what I don't like. It's a part of what I just described to you guys too in my previous video about the escape contingency, where they typically will do things to remove the responsibility necessary to actually improve the circumstances that affect the community. And it showcases they have no intentions of doing anything other than to remain stagnant and reverse the direction our community is headed towards, which is one of misfortune and discord. Black women, please don't internalize this conduct at all. It really is nothing more than a sad and pathetic display of predilection paired with weakness and disdain. Luckily, more and more Black women don't feed into these displays, which is a good thing because your response to his incorrigible behavior reinforces and strengthens his ego to make it seem like you failed at something, when really he is the one who's failed his community for leaving it in a state of destitution. And I try to also make it a habit of mentioning this in my videos too, but other men from different races don't look at interracial relationships with merit or of special quality because they value their own people and culture too much to divest. And even when these men do it, they're not doing it at the rate that black men do. Looking at it from a larger scale, when you see other races and cultures of men like Asian or Indian men, let's just say, for example, Asian as a race, do you see them in great numbers migrating away from their respective factions to date another race of woman? So when you think about it, it's an irregularity that's seemingly exclusive to the mindset of black men. It's a reflection of their inability to value themselves, and like a disease, it metastasizes, infecting others around them. Did anybody else pay attention that this is another video from TikTok? I don't know what it is with that platform, but it acts as a central host for these unions. The subscriber that sent it to me didn't mention TikTok because I think according to her email, she said she found it on Facebook, but this was the source of where the video was created if you look at the end of the video. Now, his reaction to being on camera highlights another issue with these relationships. Other than not wanting to show what they consist of, if you have to react in such a way that warrants shame in yourself for even being in the environment, that should also be an indicator that you shouldn't be in this type of relationship. Normally in black relationships with a black man and a black woman, usually the black man smiles and laughs and acts in a shy manner, whereas in this case, the black man was enraged and upset, and judging by how irate he became, you would think he was acting as though he was exposed. And if these relationships are as pristine and prosperous as they're made out to be, why would you become so furious? Any other time, this faction of black men will place these women on golden pedestals and tell everyone how much better they are than black women. But when we're shown a glimpse of their ostensibly perfect relationship, then it's outrage and pandemonium. For anyone that gets this notion that they're going to say, I care an ounce about these relationships, that is definitely not the case. I don't spend time trying to get affection from these people in any capacity because for me, it's hard to fall for someone that's directly responsible for the oppression that my people face. A lot of times they'll say things like they were not the ones who created the system, and that may be true, but they still have the skin that gives them benefits and exemptions from unpleasant fates. But back to the degenerate in this video. I don't have any shame towards the woman in this video because this is how their relationships typically operate in their society. The shame in this case is for the black man that called this woman his mommy. Does he see himself removed from his community? And the odd dynamic in these relationships remain consistent, which is that black men see it as love, while the partner from the larger society sees it as anything but love. And I want to show you guys this video, and you may have already seen this because it was a few months ago, but it will help you to understand the emphasis I place on black men's embarrassing desperation for these women.
What kind of shit is that?
So you guys watch that video and look, again, I could care less about these unions. If you like it, I love it. My whole thing is stop trying to make it seem like black women are the reason you leave them to go to Gilligan's Island and the Caucasus Mountains to play in caves. You left because that's what you wanted to do. And because of your instinctive nature to evade any moral restraint regarding your community. And like I always say, other races of men look at black men with such a strong level of condescension because of this, and some even question why they date the undesirable women of their community, thinking they're in some type of competition. It's one of those situations where if they could look at themselves from outside of their body, would they even see this as problematic, or would they still have the same opinion? And in the video that I showed you guys of the woman feeding the black man watermelon using the same utensil that she just got done feeding the dog with, my purpose in showing you that video was to elaborate on the lengths that black men go just to be with these women. But you all probably know this all too well anyway. And in his mind, he probably believes that some type of attention from her must mean that he's reached the same social status as men from the larger society. And that's definitely absurd and delusional. Some subscribers have told me that black men with an attraction towards the same sex also participate in the same antics of heterosexual black men. So it's clear that sexuality doesn't make a difference so long as the lust for whiteness is present. I can't fathom the amount of internalized inferiority that's contained within the minds of some black men, but I do know that it's unhealthy because of the devastating effects it has on their expressions, mainly because of the way they project. And projection in tandem with internalized inferiority results in a disastrous combination of self-hatred that negatively impacts the self-esteem of black women. This is because when you hear black men talk about how submissive these other groups of women are and make fun of black women because of their hair, all of these actions are a summation of how much he really hates himself. He wants black women to be submissive, yet he hasn't done anything that warrants them being submissive to him. And he makes fun of black women because he doesn't like his own features. Black men are an extension of black women, so by talking negatively about her in such a patronizing manner, her hair texture, she wears wigs, all that nonsense is sheer ignorance and purposeful stupidity. And they don't think to evaluate their own outlook because doing so requires that they admit fault in their discernment, and these men see nothing wrong with the decisions they make. Black women should continue to move accordingly, and as you can see with these videos, clearly the trash takes itself out, so please don't think you're doing anything wrong in the slightest regard. And anytime you see these couples out in public and they try to get you to notice them, just laugh at them because it's hilarious. You're watching a broken man parade around with trash that he found at the landfill, thinking he's found a diamond. In the next instance, you're watching a man be fed watermelon from a utensil that was inside a dog's mouth. And last but not least, when he tells you he's with a 10, this is his perception of what a 10 is. The disparaging and critical comments made by this faction of black men should be long gone or ignored altogether, because while they're out gallivanting with what they think is Angelina Jolie, they're really out with the ugliest fish in the world. I mean, need I say more? Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts on this, and let me know, what do you think? Do you think black men are looking for their mommy in the arms of women who don't look like them? And do you think there's any hope for trying to alter the downward spiral they're going down? I'll talk to you guys in the next video.